Well, hi guys, and welcome to my channel, The Cheap Duelist. So this is my first video. I will explain a little bit about the name. Why we're the Cheap Duelist? Well, I'm a student. I don't have work. I'm a medicine student, so I don't have time also to have a part-time job. So we don't have much money to spend in Yu-Gi-Oh. My parents are not rich. Well, that's why we're cheap. If you have noticed, my English is not perfect. It's because English is not my mother tongue. I'm from Peru, Latin America, South America, I believe. Um, so I'm doing this as a way to practice my English, but also for people in USA, Europe, English speakers to know how it's for a South American point of view from Yu-Gi-Oh. You're allowed to make fun of my language. Probably the most part of the time I'll be making up words, or maybe you're not going to understand me. I I agree to that. Please, if you hate this video, just tell me. If you love it, tell me the truth. This is the first video we're making a Shaddoll cheap deck. Well, I have to be honest, I don't spend a lot of in Yu-Gi-Oh! I most all the time I buy sealed products, like for example the legendary decks, the Yugi decks. Sometimes I buy one structure just to. I like the cards, you know. Yu-Gi-Oh! For me is having fun. I'm not a competitive dude, and I don't get why some competitive players. Some of them just play meta and hate the other type of decks. Some of them only like the shiny cards. With I understand that point of view. The shiny card I understand because that's more a collectible point of view. But the guys that only play meta, come on, I understand them too. I guess the point is we're not meta. We're fun, but we're trying to be competitive. You know, at least having fun. You know, you understand. Well, I will stop talking because it's been already like 2.5 minutes. So I'll start with the deck. This is a cheap budget deck. Ah, I never buy more than one copy of a structured deck because I don't buy it to play the structured deck. I buy it to have the cards. Some of the cards. Because we're cheap, I try to get the most use of the common cards we get on some structured decks. Just in this case, the Shaddoll, I buy the 3 copies. Why? Well, not because Shaddoll is a competitive deck. That's a plus on my reasons. It was because mostly because the staples that came in the deck they were so awesome. We get Twin Twisters, like the Allure of Darkness, Lost Wind, very good cards that mm, will be good for all my decks. I have a ton of decks. That's another thing about me. I have a ton of decks. I don't know if you guys do that too. Mostly because it became in the moment I see Bastion on Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Bastion Misawa. Yeah, the moment when he pulled out all his decks, that was awesome. So I tried to copy that guy. Okay, let's start. Let's start. For the guys that will skip this part, this will begin with the deck, with the budget deck. Very, very, very cheap. I'll try to make this very cheap. I'll do some test hands too. So come on, let's go. Let's stop talking. I talk too much. 3 mathematicians. Why 3 mathematicians? It's pretty obvious. The Shaddoll deck is about milling your deck and using Shaddoll effects on the graveyard, and sometimes using the flip effects on the field. But I use mostly the one in my graveyard. So mathematician at 3, you normal summon this guy, you send some shadows and start your game. It's pretty decent, pretty decent. It's very reasonable way having 3 mathematicians. I don't think most of people would argue with this decision. So the 2 mathematicians, not much explanations. I'll do some of the combos with test hands. And 3 Wendy's. So Wendy is probably no, it's not probably. It's going to be your most common target when you mill something from your deck. Um, Wendy, you mill Wendy, and Wendy can special summon some Shadow in in face down position. I believe he can face up too. Oh yeah, face up too. But you're probably not gonna use the to special summon when some other shadow in face up position. You would prefer to do it in face down so you can use the shadow flip effect. So Wendy is another one that I don't think people is gonna argue about that. Why I pulled three Wendy's. Then about this guy. Well, here we start with the cheap decisions. I've seen a lot of competitive shadow decks, so I know people won't agree with some of these decisions. For example, three squad matas. I see in most of decks they only play squad mata 2, but come on, when you send something from your deck to the grave, the usual stuff I send is a squad mata. So with Komata I can set other card. I use Wendy most of the time, or if the game is it has already like we're in the middle of the game. I don't know how to say that, but we are more. We're not in the first turn. We're in the fifth turn, fourth turn. And you send other shadow that will adequate to the to how the situation is right now. So I played three shadows Komata. Gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I ordered this so you can see the cards. Sorry for my camera. We cheap even in the camera. I'm recording this for my cell phone. The Wendy's, the mathematicians, and now three squad matters. There you go. Well, we don't have space for everything. This video is probably going to suck, but hopefully some of you will understand. This is my first video. Well, I recommend you to be if you just put this for the recipe. I recommend a lot to put this in 2 times the speed you do. If you hate this video, just let me know. I'll try to get better on my next videos. Okay, just that. Okay, let's continue. Ariel, Aria in Spanish. I'm using one Ariel because it helps you to get some of the fusions, especially Apcalone. I believe you need 2 shadows from different how do you say that? Different types? No, attributes. Different attributes. So the only one different now with the new shadow cards are Wendy, Ariel, Chaos, but I'm not using Chaos. I'm just letting you know. So I use one Wendy, and she has some cool effect about banishing cards. When you send this card from the deck to the grave, she can banish 3 cards from the graveyard, which is awesome. It's pretty awesome. And when she's in the field and you flip it, she does. She can special summon something from some shadow banished monster. I don't use that effect a lot. Oh, I was forgetting about Skolmata effect on field. Flip and destroy one monster. Target and destroy one monster. Sometimes it's useful too. I use 2 dragons. Dragons is a very good card to destroy one spell trap card on the field when you send it from the deck, and when you flip it, you what does this say? Oh yeah, you send one card. You target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So when you have some targetable extra deck opponent monster that is causing you troubles, Dragon is useful. I'm sorry, I'm missing a lot of this explanation. I will try to show how the deck works in the test hand. Then we got Hedgehog. I don't know how you said that in English. I'm sorry, my English sucks. I'm running 2. I see in some decks they just run 1, but when you flip this guy, he let you get 1 shadow spare or trap card, which is awesome. And when you send from the deck, you can get 1 shadow monster to your hand, which is also very useful in some occasions. You will see. 1 Falco, and he's Cool too, you can target one Shaddoll monster in your graveyard, set some Falco, special summon it in face down defense position. Uh, that's the flick effect is awesome, and when it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon it in face down defense position. That's cool. And Beast is that should be up there because that is essential. One of the it is my most common target for Wendy effect because you have Beast there and you can use the flip effect. You can draw two cards and discard one card, so you get two cards from your deck, which is awesome, and you get to discard one card, which in this deck is pretty awesome too because you can discard one Shadow card and use the effect. So this is awesome. And when you send it directly from the deck, you just get one card. This is awesome. I can understand if you guys want to put bits at 3. Just in my deck, I use it at 2. Yeah, it's reasonable if you want to put it at 3. So these are some budget options that work great for me. For example, Curryborn. Why? Because we need light monsters to create sometimes Construct, Shadow Construct, which is one of the fusions. Chaos, I think Chaos sucks. So I put this. This is very useful sometimes. You can just send it from the deck with Shadow Fusion. So you don't have to use the effect, but his effect is kinda useful too, because at the end of the battle phase you can discard this card, then target one monster in your graveyard that was destroyed by battle and send there this turn and special summon it. And when a monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target another Kuribo monster in your graveyard. That effect we don't use it because of Kuribo, but the first one is very useful. You sometimes you can use it to protect some of your shadow cards, which is awesome. Baylor, I don't have to explain what Balen. The reason he's in this deck is because the attribute. This guy is a very common hand trap. Yeah, this guy I get it from the structure there Yugi, and this guy I don't know where I get it. I think it's on a starter deck. Yeah, but just cheap cards. These are not hard to get. Well, they were not hard to get for me. Lustre Soldier. Why Lustre Soldier? You don't know why. We have light and dark monster. In this deck, it's very easy to control what you send to your graveyard, so it's very easy to summon Black Lustre Soldier. And the guy has a very awesome attack and very awesome effect. So that's right. That's the monsters we running. Okay. Now let's go with the spells. Spell cards. We will start with the fusion cards. Shadow Fusion at 3. You can fusion summon one shadow monster from your extra deck using monster from your hand or field as fusion materials. That's quite normal effect. But the good one effect about this one is that when your opponent controls a monster that was a special summon from the extra deck, which is basically the whole game nowadays, well, the 80% of the decks at least, you can also use monster in your deck, so you get one free summon from your deck, and then you get to use the shadow effects of the monsters you send. You can only use one of these per turn, very useful. The other Shadow Fusion cards is El Shadow Fusion. El Shadow Fusion, mis amigos. Well, this guy is just fusion. It's like a polymerization for shadows. You just fusion summon one shadow monster from your extra deck using monster from your hand or field. The good thing about this one is he's a quick spell, so you can use it in battle phase, and you open a turn. It's pretty awesome. At 3, of course. Another card we use at 3, one of the best ones on this deck, is Super Polymerization. You'll see most of the cards were on the structure deck, so very cheap deck, 3 Super Polymerization. You can discard one. You discard one card. That's the cost. And fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either field as fusion material. Another player can activate card or effects in response to this card activation. That is the most useful stuff about super polymerization, that you cannot negate it, and you get to steal one of your opponent monsters, which is awesome. That card is a must at 3. I believe these guys are at 3 in all decks. You cannot argue with this, but you can argue with these decisions. Next, One Foolish Burial. I believe that, well, Shaddoll, the whole engine begins with sending monsters to the graveyard, so that's a must for me. Foolish Burial, and very easy to get card, almost printing a lot of structure decks and starter decks. Instant Fusion. Well, I'll go with the Fusion last. Now, this card, Curse of the Shadow Prison, the Shadow Spell. I know, I've seen a lot of competitive Shadow decks. I see you don't run Curse of the Shadow Prison, but this card is awesome. I mean, every time you send Shadow to the graveyard for an effect, I believe, you get one counter on this. And you do that a lot in this deck, so this card will get a lot of counters. For each counter, all your opponent monsters lose 100 points of attack for attack on only his turn. That's quite useful sometimes, but you can remove 3 spell counters for this card, and use one appropriate monster that your opponent controls to fuse material. You can steal one monster from your opponent when this card has more than 3 counters or 3 counters. So it's awesome. It's awesome to run a one. But I understand if you don't want to put that on your deck. Then we go with Monster Reborn. Now the Monster Reborn, to get basically every monster you use on your deck. You can steal monster from your opponent from his graveyard, but also I use Monster Reborn with this card, Instant Fusion, because with Instant Fusion, I'll show you what I use for Instant Fusion, but I use some monsters that I'm not able to summon with my deck, so sometimes use it with the fusion, use it the fate, and with Monster Reborn I can get the monster free. I believe, or I don't. Well, we're gonna find. Power Favorites. This card is cool. Target 5 monster in your graveyard. Shuffle 5 into the deck, then draw 2 cards. In this deck, we get a lot of monsters on the graveyard. I don't have more of this card because I want having monsters in my graveyard for some cards I'm gonna show you then next. So just one of these is pretty awesome to draw this in the middle of the game. That's huge. Okay, that's the spell ones, and then we come the trap cards. In the trap cards, this is the reason I send almost all my shadows to the graveyard, because Necrofusion. You can fusion monster, banishing monster from your graveyard, and the monster cannot attack this turn. So, but you want to use Necrofusion in your opponent's turn the most of the time. So that is what I send almost all my shadows to the grave. Necrofusion at 3. I don't see a lot of decks using this. I don't know why. This is awesome. Maybe because those are meta decks and they have more money to spend. This is a very cheap card, but very useful. I don't know. Just run at 3. Now, Sinister Shadow games, just 2 of them. I don't know. I don't remember if they run this in the meta version, or not meta, but in the most competitive version of Shadow decks. But it's awesome because Shadow starts with sending monsters from the graveyard. Sometimes when you don't have a good hand and you have this, you can start on your opponent's turn by sending monsters from your graveyard. So that is awesome. Oh my god, I lost one card. It's here. The last card, the last trap card, is Red Shaddoll Incarnation. This card, I put it 1, but it sees some play in almost all my matches. Target 1 shadow monster in your graveyard, special summon it in face up or face down defense position. That's cool. That's a cool effect. But when he's already in the graveyard, you can banish this card and one shadow card from your graveyard, then activate one of these effects, basically changing one face down monster to face up or one face up monster to face down. That's cool. Well, that's the main deck. 40 deck card. I'll go with the extra deck. On the extra deck, take this out of the camera. We got to focus on the extra deck. Okay, you guys remember I was running one Monster Reborn and one Instant Fusion. With the Instant Fusion, the most common target we're gonna use is the Thousand Eyes Restrict. This is very cheap card because we got it. It's a spiritual card even you get to see. I get it on the Match of the Millennium, which is very cheap one. Why I buy that? I bought that because I love Pegasus and I haven't got any Pegasus card from before. So there, that's an awesome card. Well, when you summon this, you summon this in defense position because other monsters on the field cannot change their battle positions or attack. Once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls, equip that target to this card, and these cards attacks become equal to that equipped monster. If this card would be destroyed by battle, destroy that equipped monster. So you use it to steal some of your opponent monsters. That is cool. He's going to be destroyed at the end phase, so that's nice. That's a good card. It's a good combo. It has saved me sometimes in a lot of matches. So, and this one, well, I know this is a very cheap. This is a cheap channel. This is a cheap deck. So these cards, you may say, hey, this is not that cheap, but I pull it on the Legendary Season 1, so I use it. It's not obligation to run in this deck. It's also a target for instant fusion, but believe it or not, this guy sees a lot more of play than this guy. Because for the activation of his effect, our opponent monster have to activate his effects. So this is more like to control your opponent, and this is more like taking your opponent monster at once. So I want one of this guy, for the instant fusion. You see, that's why I get a monster reborn, so I can get this guy from the graveyard. But let's go with the shadow fusions. Two Apcalones. You see, Apcalone. Very good effect. When she's summoned, you can target one card on the field and negate his effects. That is awesome because it doesn't only work in monsters, but in face-up cards you can negate a field spell that is causing you trouble, or you can negate. Oh, come on. Or you can negate. Sorry, I thought the camera was not recording. Or you can negate. You can negate anything. It's face up, a drop card, whatever. So I make this video too long. Then we get 3 Windas. Windas is the card you wanna have a 3 because you want to special summon this. All the players can only do one special summon after this guy is on the field. So it's a nice way to screw your opponent, limit him. The construct, this guy have very cool effect. Attacks before the damage step, she destroys the monster if that is an extra deck monster. That's cool. I only run a 3. I see a lot of guys run this card 3, but I only got 2. She doesn't see a lot of play, like Winda or Apcalone, even though she's always in the game, but one copy. For me, that's my experience. And Shekinaga, she has also a cool effect because Shekinaga can negate a monster effects if you have a shadow card and you send it to the graveyard. So you use your shadow effect on the hand and also negate a monster. And we have the mathematician on the deck, which you can use it to fusion summon that, and if you against an opponent's deck that has earth monsters, you can steal one with super polymerization. This guy, I only run it because I have an aerial. I'm gonna be honest, I have used this very few in my duels, but well, it's basically because we have aerial on the deck. Construct, she is useful. Sometimes it can, well, you know the effect, but she's very useful. Um, well, here are some decisions, very cheap ones, but understandable, I believe. Clear Wing. Obviously, Crystal Wing is better, but I use it. He's 7 stars, so I use it with the Shaddoll Tuner. I believe it's Falco with Beast. That gets seven stars, so that's awesome. And Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, that's a cool fusion monster, and you fusion summon it with 2 dark monsters, which can be 2 shadows when you have it in the field. But I mostly use it by stealing my opponent's deck. A lot of the meta today is dark monsters, so I always summon this guy by stealing 2 my opponent monster, which is awesome. And sometimes just stealing one of them. That's pretty awesome. So I know there's a lot of cards that are better for this deck, but guys, this is a cheap channel, and I'm nervous. Okay, now this is like not the side deck officially, but some cards that I understand if you want to put in the deck. They're good too. Shaddoll Core, I see a lot of guys using this, so if you have, if you don't agree with some of the cards I put in my deck, you can change it with these options. Shaddoll Core. Shadow Fusion. I also see it. You equip this to a shadow monster, and you can special summon one fusion summon, and the shadow gets to be any attribute you need for your summon, which is awesome. I face on a mirror match a guy using Shadow Hound, and he used it pretty good. So I may be considering putting this on my deck. I don't know. I don't know. And this one, this is more like options you can change for something on my deck, and this is more like side deck. Course of Shadow Prison, 1 because 3 is too much, but 2 sometimes when you're against a deck that depends much on your opponent's attack, you can decrease the attack with this, or when you want to your opponent is using monsters that cannot be targeted, so you want to steal them with super polymerization and with this guy effect. Dragon 2, another dragon because we only have 2 on the deck. Now we have 3. I'm starting to realize my accents are a little bit Indian. No? Okay, Shadow Dragon destroy 1 card when you are against a guy who uses a lot of face down cards or a lot of field spell cards. You want to get 1 extra dragon to destroy some extra cards. And Aerial because if you want to, sometimes when you're against a deck that uses a lot the graveyard, you want to banish a lot of your opponent's grave cards, so that's an option on the deck. I have these guys here. I know you probably don't use it too much, but they are cheap and very useful against pendulum decks, against the guys who play Mystic Mime, against the guys who do a lot of face-up spell cards. This is awesome. And the Shadow Fusion, do you put 1 extra construct if you going against a light your opponents have a lot of light monsters, and 2 Grista if he has a lot of fire monsters, 2 Wendigos for the wind monsters, and Anoya Titleist for the water monster. That's easy to understand why I have this. So we finally in the test hands. We'll do test hands. I see a lot. We're taking almost 30 minutes, guys. I believe this video is not gonna. It's not gonna be that good. That have a lot of views because of the time. I will do this in another video, but I think some guys doing this and I don't like it. I like to do it, to watch it on the same video. So let's go. Let's shuffle the deck. Okay. So guys, well, as I said at the beginning of the video, I want to give you guys a little bit of how it is for a Latin American player to in Yu-Gi-Oh! What's the difference? One of the difference I why don't shuffle me? One of the difference I found is the price. I see a lot of I always watch the CG player for getting some information on the prices, and I see well, I believe TCG is for America, right? Well, America, USA, fuck, everything is America, and USA that's TCG for, right? If I'm wrong, you explain to me. But I see, for example, this card. In here, it's about well, in Peru, the current coin is called Sol. Sol, one Sol, two Soles. So this guy is like 40 to 50 soles in stores. That that would be, I believe, 13 to 14 or 12 to $14, I believe. But I see that guy in TCG, it's about $9 to $10. So that's about $4 to $5 difference, which here that's a difference from like 17 soles, which is huge. With 17 soles, I can buy lunch, a very good lunch. So that's one of the things I don't say about the price. Or the thing that the structures I see for you guys is only $10. For us, it's more like